Hello, Phil here from Wings of Pegasus and welcome to another analysis video. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe. On the agenda tonight, we're going to be taking a look at 4 performances in all, and this request has come through from someone who has been doing their own kind of analysis videos and have come to the conclusion that what they're looking at sounds very similar and they believe it might be lip-synced or mimed. Recently I made a video on Air Supply and I was sent 3 performances to look at, and I found that 2 of them had the same vocal on there. It was the same audio file, but it wasn't released on any official channel, so I said that I couldn't be sure as to when that was applied, if somebody's applied it over the top. And there's another performance where it was fully live but the vocal was auto-tuned, so auto-tune was being used live in that performance. Now with this particular request we have 4 videos that I've been sent, and these are of Air Supply performing in 2014, but the video for that was uploaded in 2020, a performance from 2015, one from 2023, and one from 2024. Just to mention that with the request, the person was very clear that they thought the potential lip-syncing or miming was happening from Russell Hitchcock and not Graham Russell. So what we have are these 4 performances, and I have synchronized them. I've isolated the vocals. So what we're going to start with is just listening to the vocals from 2014, 2015, 2023 and 2024 all synchronized to see what it sounds like.
When you say I miss the things you do, I just wanna get back close again to you. But for now, your voice is near enough. How I miss you and I miss your love. And oh, all the days that pass me by.
Now, I mean, the first thing to mention is that considering these performances are so far apart, the fact that the vocals timing wise are absolutely spot on, I can totally appreciate why somebody would say this sounds like the same vocal happening at all of these different shows, you know, spanning what, 10 years, something like that. And I can even skip forward to what, almost 2 minutes into the song, and we'll have a listen.
I was next to you tonight, and I'll be reaching for you.
And we're still perfectly in sync. And I'll move it forward again.
And I just want you to know I can wait forever.
So yeah, I mean, I can go through the whole song. And when I say the whole song, I mean these are 4 performances that we're hearing over the top of each other that have happened over the last 10 years, and the timing is absolutely perfect from one show to the next. So now we're about 3 minutes and 20 seconds into the vocals from all 4 performances, and in 2014 and 2015 there was a shorter drum fill before then the end chorus, so it means it goes out of sync. I've just adjusted it so that we can now hear the vocals, and again, see if we can hear any differences.
I can wait forever if you say you'll be there too. I can wait forever if you will. I know it's worth it all to spend my life alone.
So I'm just going to jump in here because, again, it sounds identical with these 4 performances. But as you know, on the channel, we get into a little bit more detail than just listening. I am just going to start by looking at 2014 just as an isolated case. And by the way, the links to all of these videos are in the description below if you guys want to cross-reference anything that I'm doing here. But you'll see that when we come in with our lead vocal, we are bang on that C#4. and we come down, we're bang on that B3. And if we keep going through here, again, we're bang on the B3, we go up, bang on C#4, and you'll start to notice this, that we are undeniably calibrated to A440 standard pitch equal temperament, which means one of two things. Either it was auto-tune live, or it's a pre-recorded pitch corrected vocal. So pitch correction is what it's called when you do it manually. So as we scroll through, you'll see this kind of calibration happening all the time, but also there'll be sections where we're not really overly calibrated. So this is why it speaks more to pitch correction, i.e. something that's pre-recorded and then edited to be as perfect as possible tuning wise, and not auto-tune, because auto-tune would really struggle with this kind of thing because it would want to snap it to a note. And this is why you hear the auto-tune flip happen sometimes when somebody is using auto-tune live, which we did here in that previous air supply analysis that I did. So yeah, you'll see this calibration happening. C#4 here, we just perfectly go up to that line, and as we go through, yeah, you'll see it happening pretty much all over. But we have a little bit of variation going on. Like here's slightly flat of the G3, but it has been really strongly applied. Now we have to bear in mind that this is all crowd shot footage, so we've got ambient noise going on at the same time as well, and different acoustic spaces, so the notes might reverberate around the space a little bit longer in one performance than another performance. So all of those variables should throw everything off, really. So if we find anything that replicates, and if a line goes over another line, there's only one explanation for that, and that is that it's the same audio file being played back. So now things are going to get really complicated on screen, because we have the 4 performances, and I've just separated them up so that we can see what was going on in each of them. And the first thing that is really suspicious is this little point that we have here that happens at exactly the same 100th of a second as this point here, and this point here, and this point here. So these are all hitting exactly the same pitch, by the way, as well. So straight off with pretty much the first phrase of the song, it is, we're getting something that happens at exactly the same point. And when we start to look into the detail of it, here we have a slight peak, and here it's slightly flattened out, but it's below the second peak. And here we have a peak that then is, followed by a second peak that's a little bit sharper, so the note is ever so slightly higher. Here we've got this flattening out again, and the peak is slightly higher, and here we get a peak with another peak that's slightly higher. So these little things that pop out of the performance, through the ambient noise, that's the kind of thing that you think, and I think certainly, that straight off the bat we've got something that is pretty conclusive, within the first 1 second of the song, where things look like they're replicating, at which you shouldn't get. I mean, when we're talking about hundredths of a second from 1 year to the next year to potentially 10 years later, to get that phrasing and that timing pinpoint over 10 years 4 times is impossible. Especially when we're talking about looking at pitch in this kind of detail. Nothing should replicate itself really when we're looking at one live performance to another live performance. So I don't want to bore you with the details, but just to show you what I look out for when looking at performances that are years apart, crowd shot footage. If somebody thinks it's the same audio file, you've got to accept that things are going to get thrown off a bit because of that ambient noise. But when you get this kind of thing, even though because of the crowd shot footage, it's not going to be a perfect match, and that'll happen if you get the actual audio file and run it through pitch monitoring software, then it will perfectly go over itself because it's a clean signal. We're not dealing with a clean signal here, but the things that we get that come back just are too similar to not be the same audio file being played back at different venues. So here, just the characteristics of these lines, where we have these waves that are all happening in the same way from one performance to the next. Again, within hundredths of a second, these are happening at the same time, and especially here where we kind of go up slightly sharp, and this is all the same note, by the way. I've moved them under each other so that you can see how they echo each other, and that's what it's all about, looking for these echoes where we have this, you know, coming down above the line, below the line, 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 and then we come up and we're above and we're above and we're above and we're above again to the hundredth of a second. And by the way, this is about 1 minute 30 or 1 minute 40 into the performance. So this isn't just the fact that the vocals just happens to have come in at exactly the same time on all performances at the beginning of the song. This is now way into the song, and we're getting all of these things happening at the same time, and all of these echoes that are happening at this exact time in all four of these performances. And another example here, again getting towards 2 minutes now of this vocal performance, and all four performances, this is the same note, but I've moved it down so that you can see the similarities, that we go sharp, we go sharp, we go sharp, we go sharp, and again it's by exactly the same amount above the note. And then we come down into, you know, here ever so slightly below, and here below as well, but it's these characteristics that we're looking out for, then going sharp, going sharp, going sharp, going sharp. And then 3 performances slide off at the same time, and another one has a bit of a delay before sliding off. And that can be due to, I mean, literally delay on the voice. So the pitch monitoring software has picked up the slide off the second time it's happened, so it happens live and then it gets delayed. Just to demonstrate that point, we're going to be listening to this vocal that's been plotted as sliding down later. And there is a kickback delay on the vocal. It's really fast, but I mean, we are looking at things in hundredths of a second here. So even though it's really fast, when we then compare it with this, and again, if I've moved them to different places so that you can see the echoes of each other. In terms of where they happened, it would be like that. So you can clearly see this line completing this other line and the other vocal going over the vocal. Once I kind of get it in line, you can see it perfectly overlaps. But then this part that's been plotted, the delay of the vocal rather than the vocal. But when we listen to these two together, you can hear that they both go down at the same time. And again, let's have a listen to the third one. Again, you can hear it happens at the same time. And the fourth one happens at the same time. So it's great because we can listen to all 4 vocals and we can think, well, why has this happened? And when we're listening to the audio, we can hear that it's all happening at exactly the same time. It is the same vocal, but the pitch monitoring software is plotting a delay. So yeah, it's great because, you know, when these kinds of things happen and anomalies happen, you think, oh, what's the reason for that? But you can always get to the bottom of it with the objective data, and you can figure out what the pitch monitoring software is taking in and what it's processing, and it just happens to have processed the second time the voice went down in the delay rather than the first voice. But anyway, these points up here that replicate each other and go over the top of each other at exactly the same pitch at, you know what, 1 minute 49, it says on my screen, of all 4 performances. It's the kind of thing that can only be achieved using the same audio file. Try and find a point at where, like here, for example, I'll just adjust it. So now, even with the ambient noise, you can see that, you know, we have this slide up that happens at the same point on all of the performances, and we go perfectly up to this E4. And importantly, when I'm saying about looking for echoes or things that look similar, the way that each of these, you know, just follow these waves, again, that's just the same audio file being played back. Basically what we've got here is, yeah, lip syncing, miming for all of these performances spanning from 2014, 2015, 2023, 2024. So yeah, 10 years. Now, something that I also want to throw in here from the request where it said that they didn't think Graham Russell was miming or lip syncing. There's a part in this song where Graham is going to be singing, so we can hear the transition from one vocal into the next and see if you can hear the difference between the two vocalists. Let's have a listen.
To spend my life alone with you. Where are you now? Alone with the thoughts we share. Keep them strong somehow. And you know I'll always be there.
So, I mean, to me, it's clear that that is a live vocal, and those are the four vocals synchronized with each other. And I mean, this is the point about actually singing live, is when you do sing fully live from one show to the next, you can't sing over your previous vocal that you did at any other show, because that's the whole point of double tracking vocals, is that it's not going to be a perfect replication, because if it were, it wouldn't work. The whole technique in the studio would be void. So here, I think it is clear when there are multiple performances, but the vocal is live. Listen again.
And you know I'll always be there.
And you can even hear that me there. It comes in a little bit earlier on one night or 1 year, and a little bit later on another one. There's a little kind of slide up to the note that doesn't happen maybe in another year. There are so many tiny details that change even in one vocal phrase. So when you start getting something like this,
Forever, if you say you'll be there too.
where there's zero variation from 1 year to the next over spanning 10 years, then yeah, when we look at the pitch data, obviously that proves it, and it's not really somebody's opinion of it sounding the same. But when it does sound this similar, I can understand why the person has said that they think it is the same audio file and that it is lip syncing or miming, as we call it here in the UK. But I mean, this is an interesting one because it means that you've got one vocalist who the rest of the band know isn't singing, and then another vocalist who is singing. And I'm not sure, I mean, they must all be fine with it and just accept it and go and do the shows, and it is what it is. But I mean, it's interesting that one person has decided, well, no, because they would have the option, of course, to lip sync or mime as well if the other vocalist is doing it. But Graham has decided, no, I am going to sing live, and if it's slightly sharp, slightly flat, it is what it is. It's going to be a live vocal. Looking at this tonight, it's been an interesting one because it's always good to get into the details, look at the pitch monitoring software, the pitch lines, because they never lie. And when you do start to get echoes and replications from gigs spanning 10 years, then it is the same audio file, and that's the only explanation for it. So thank you for this request and for all of the requests that you send in. Keep those coming in the comment section below, and send your requests to requests@wingsofpegasus.com. If you did enjoy this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe. Let me know what you guys think, of course, and I'll catch you guys at the next one. Rock!